Now that everything works, let's just
go with it, right? Well, we will go ahead and get started. Good morning, everybody. My name is Katie Ensweiler. I'm the marketing manager here at Von Lehman CPA and advisory firm. We are using a different platform of Zoom today. This is Zoom webinar. So a lot of you will notice that you do not have the option to show video or mute yourself. Everyone is hard muted with their video turned off except for our panelists today. So no need to worry, we won't be able to see or hear you. The session is being recorded, so we will be sending out a link to that recording either later on today or tomorrow. We are accepting live questions during the presentation today. You can put those in that, the Q&A function right at the bottom of your screen, and all of us will receive those questions. We only have 30 minutes for the panel, so we'll do the very best we can to get to them. But I will be sending out the contact information in my follow-up email for all of our panelists, our moderator, and our presenter here today. Also, if you need to obtain CPE for this event, I will be giving out 3 code words throughout the presentation. We are unable to repeat those after the presentation concludes, so I do apologize for that. However, please take down all 3, and in that follow-up email will be a link for you to obtain that CPE certificate. And with that, I will go ahead and turn it over to you, Yannick.
Thank you, Katie, and good morning, everyone. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. And glad to be with you today. Thanks, Von Lehman CPA and Advisory, for organizing this event and for having us being part of that and presenting to you today. Good morning also to our panelists, Randy, Hina, and Michael. Glad to be with you. And we have a big topic today, e-commerce and trends in B2B. This is easily a topic where we could spend a day talking about the different dimensions of that topic, but we will try our very best to make it very short and concise. And I will try to guide you through a high-level introduction in about 25 minutes so that we can continue with a panel discussion. So my name is Yannick Schilly. I'm the president and CEO of Altix Consulting. We are based in Mason, Ohio. I will skip that one. So this is the agenda I will guide you through. So a little bit of introduction and history, a little bit of trends in industry and e-commerce B2B. We hear a lot about e-commerce in the B2C segment, and I think we all were well aware what's going on, but what exactly is happening in B2B? And what are the business dimensions which are impacted by e-commerce? Then we'll have a few questions and hand over to the panel. So a few words about Altix. We are a boutique consulting firm. We help middle market organizations in the manufacturing sector operating and competing globally. So we have offices in North America, in Europe and Asia. And our partners are senior executives who have spent their careers in industry, in different functions across the boardroom. So let's start a little bit with trends in industry. This is a topic I'm very passionate about, and we work a lot on Industry 4.0 and the future of manufacturing and logistics. So we have studied over the last years with my team the evolution of the world of factories. And what you can see on this chart is a factory nowadays is very different than many years ago. In the past, factories have been hostile, dark, and dangerous environments. Today, they are smart and digital environments. And this is to support global population growth, which has been exponential. And the number of factories now worldwide is also growing dramatically from a few at the origin, at the very beginning here in the UK, in the textile revolution, the first industrial revolution, or the BASF factory in Ludwigshafen in the 1800s. So you are all well aware about Industry 4.0, the new industrial revolution, which is all about data and cyber physical systems, robotic and automation entering the factories and entering commerce. So products are getting smart, factories are getting smart, and the way we distribute and sell those products are getting smart as well. We have studied as well trends in industry over long periods of time, and what companies have been doing over more than 100 years is with reducing cost and reducing cycle time. And technology has helped to do that with a revolution in the IT world, certainly a revolution in integrated mechatronic systems, and in a revolution in how we train and educate people to operate in those environments. And one thing what changed dramatically as well is the customer experience as a key differentiator. And customer experience and e-commerce are directly linked. So nowadays we shop and we operate very differently. So before I enter here in the core of the e-commerce discussion, I want to share a couple of observations we have made over time with best-in-class companies. So first of all, the global market trends forces companies towards excellence. There is nothing really in between. R&D and innovation are core to keep innovative. Digitalization is at the core of everything manufacturing companies do. And COVID-19 has been an extremely powerful change agent, pushing towards more digitalization and towards e-commerce in B2C and in B2B. So the question is not if, but when and how this will impact our organizations. What best practice means for manufacturing companies is best-in-class companies are always proactive. They plan for 80% and react for 20%, not the other way around. And best practice companies embrace technology, but they keep the people at the core of everything they do. So now trends in e-commerce. The pandemic COVID-19 has left an enduring mark on the consumer landscape. Years of change have been accelerated towards months and weeks. We know how much time we spend on Zoom meetings and Zoom calls. Nowadays, we buy everything digitally in the B2C segment, whether it's banking services or where it's food, insurance, clothes, whatever it is, we can buy it online. And the same is happening in the B2B sector. Maybe something what is not so visible and not so transparent if you are not directly in industry, but industrial companies know that there is no way around. Digitalization is happening in sales and marketing and in the entire company. So if we look at the history of e-commerce briefly, we can see that this is a fairly recent journey. The journey started with the emergence of the internet in the 70s, and just 30 years later, 4.4 billion internet users worldwide are online. This is 60% of the world population, and 3.5 billion are on social media. That's half of the world population. And what do we do online? We consume. We exchange with friends and we consume information and products. What's going on in B2B e-commerce? Well, there is a lot going on. 66% of B2B leaders now believe that e-commerce solutions are essential. And this is up from 48% pre-COVID. So you see that just in 12, 14 months, the perception here of the importance and the role of e-commerce changed dramatically. More than 75% of B2B buyers and sellers say that they prefer purchasing online. 61% of all B2B transactions start online. 73% of companies use augmented reality, AR, and virtual reality, VR, for consumer service applications. And 66% also use them in the sales process. And the big champions, the breakout stars, have been the video and the live chat. So we have analyzed over the past 12 months a lot of surveys and study from the big four companies, but also from hundreds of consulting firms like Deloitte, McKinsey, Accenture, and have condensed that into reports. And I can give you access to some of these surveys if you are interested to read more. What we have here is a summary, a snapshot of all that information. So a couple of trends in e-commerce here is dynamic pricing and price negotiation options. So obviously in B2B, you are not trading books and simple to trade clearly defined units. There is a lot more complexity in B2B, what needs to be reflected. But the user, we are all B2C consumers, we bring that expectation into the B2B world. We want the same service and the same level of interaction and the same level of speed in our digital interaction with B2B companies. And this brings a ton of complexity for a B2B organization to deliver on that expectation. And of course, we are always comparing with what others are doing. So there is a certain bar we have to meet, to a certain level of professionalism we have to hit right away if we go the path of e-commerce. So high quality end-to-end service is expected, moving toward digital platforms. And here we'll see that depending on the size of the organization, some create their own e-shop for an own digital experience. Smaller companies tend to join platforms like Amazon and others. Yeah. New payment methods. You see the buzz around the blockchain and the cryptocurrencies, but also faster global payment solutions, lending options. All of that is touched in that e-commerce discussion. So here, a few facts to also get an impression, if you have not started the journey of what are the orders of magnitude we are talking about. So here a few numbers from 2019 to 2023, the e-commerce share in B2B in the United States will go from 13% to 17%. Just remember, 20 years ago, that share was probably well below 5%. Now it's already 17%, and you can only expect an acceleration of those numbers. The B2B e-commerce volume in the United States in $1 billion, going from, now I don't see the numbers because I have the bar here, but we are going from the 3,000 billions into the 6,000 billion. So also doubling over a fairly short amount of time. And you can see these are big numbers. It's not 3 billion, it's 3,000 billion. Global B2B e-commerce gross merchandise. So this is now on a global level, evolution from 2013 to 2019 in billion US dollar. So from 6,000 billion US dollar to 12,000 billion US dollar. And the chart on the right is also an interesting chart because it compares B2B and B2C, and it compares a product offering and a service offering. And what you can see is B2C is ahead. Yes, we anticipated that, but B2B is not far away. It's not so far away as we could imagine. And product is ahead, but service is not far behind, which is surprising. Okay, now let's look a little bit into the different dimensions of what does it mean to embark on an e-commerce strategy for the organization. So first of all, there is not such a thing like an e-commerce strategy. It needs to be very well integrated in an overall corporate strategy so that it's supported and linked to the key corporate functions. The future competitiveness is depending on actions and transformative efforts taken now. It's a journey. There is no silver bullet. The work got to be done, and it's eventually a lot of work. But what can be said as well is no pain, no gain. It's a long road, but it's worth to take it. There is no real alternative around that. So what does it mean for sales and marketing? Sales and marketing is changing dramatically through the COVID-19 acceleration. We realize we cannot sell anymore as we did in the past. In the past, we sold a little bit everywhere, meeting our clients, having lunches and dinners, playing golf. All of that is changing. So nowadays, different tools need to be identified. Buyers, engineers want to do their research upfront before they talk to people. So make sure they find online what they are looking for, especially in technical applications. If you are selling welding devices, the engineers using your device want to see that online and find all the information they need upfront. And then eventually they will contact you. e-shopping platforms are not the exception anymore. Customers want the ability to configure an order online. They want the ability to configure a product and to know quickly what's the price of that configuration and what kind of lead time can I expect. And this requires serious investments in cross-functional platform design because, as you can imagine, all this price information, finance data information, customer data information, they are residing in your systems, in your IT systems, but now they need to be connected and matched so that they can see this user is connected, is looking after these products, and we need to give lead time information connected to inventory management and capacity in our factories. So this is a complex behavior, and you need to break down the complexity in small packages, but look at it from a project management standpoint and from a holistic standpoint to be able to master the complexity. AI will be part of the journey. You will need a certain level of algorithms to process that data and complexity. What does it mean for research and development? So digital is at the core of the R&D strategy. Products are getting smart, digital, and connected, and the digital twin is part of the journey. So also part of the e-commerce strategy, engineers want to find your 3D model library online so that they can use your models in their own CAD integration. Digital contents and tutorials will help to sell. Agile cross-functional teams are working together along the product life cycle. And e-shopping ability is now part of the Design for X toolkit. Design for X, if you're not an engineer, this is a trend in design which has been going on for some time, where initially designers were focusing on product functionalities, then they had to design to cost and design to automation, design to assembly, design to supply chain. So now they have to comply to a full list of requirements to comply with modern enterprise-wide solutions. What does it mean for the industrialization and production? Industry 4.0 concepts are the key for future competitiveness. Automation, robotics, smart integrated systems are the future. Agile and modular systems need to ensure the evolution, opportunities in the manufacturing system. Data and process control are key to steer the performance. And state-of-the-art just went global. Nowadays, modern manufacturing environments are not only found in North America or Europe, they are everywhere. They're in China, in Southeast Asia, in Latin America. So build smart architectures and modular systems for synergies and complexity management. Deploy those across manufacturing sites and align product strategies, manufacturing strategies, and systems with your sales strategy. So here again, the e-commerce strategy cannot be looked at disjointed from the manufacturing and R&D strategy.
Yannick, I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm going to give our first CPE code word. If everyone just wants to take note of this, it's advantage. Again, you will need all three in order to obtain the CPE credit, and the first word is advantage.
Thank you, Katie. So what does it mean for warehousing, logistics, and supply chain management? So as you know, e-commerce is very linked to what does it mean for warehouses and for our shipping and logistics. So e-commerce will change the demand for the logistics environment. First of all, it demands more advanced warehousing and logistics capabilities. And our friends from Modular on the panel and on the call here, they are designing vertical storage solutions as displayed on that picture, but also massive warehouse automation systems are at times required for mass transactions, an environment I'm coming from. Advanced order management capabilities, so processing more orders, smaller orders, higher frequency of orders. So the ordering patterns and habits of the customers will change with e-commerce capabilities. The warehouse organization is going from pallets to parcel shipments. So it's more like an Amazon type of business where the parcels get smaller and the number of shipments increase. So this means your picking and packing and shipping operations will be transformed. Last mile delivery requirements are changing. So the way you distribute and bring your products to the customer needs to be revisited. the relationship with dealers and distributors need to be aligned depending on how you do business today in certain countries or in North America, in the United States. So what will that e-commerce strategy mean for our business relations here on the dealership side and distribution side? Supply chain tracking and real-time information is often associated with e-commerce solutions where you want as a user to be able to check online, where is my order and what's the status of my order. So all of that brings high performance expectation, excellence to remain in the game. And again, as you can imagine, it's a journey to transform from where you are today to what the future of e-commerce could mean for your organization. People and skills as well, HR, the HR strategy need to be linked to initiatives, advanced and integrated HR strategy, lifelong learning for individuals, learning organization, philosophy for the company, ongoing training education programs to stay at the state of the art of knowledge and systems. New technologies are at the core, and having that mindset for tech. Everybody is becoming a tech organization now, using all these digital technologies, and break down the silos. It's all about collaboration and communication. You see that through the presentation. All the departments, all the functions in the company need to collaborate to make it a success. And people are rotating more from across functions. So I may start my career in supply chain, I may go to sales, I may go to R&D, I may go to HR or finance. Yeah? So people move across the organization. So bringing that communication, collaboration, and mental agility is key. Finance is changing, finance 4.0, integrated strategy. It's about data, anticipating the future, anticipating customer demand, anticipating financial needs. You can only imagine that this kind of transformations moving towards e-commerce are linked to serious investments in infrastructure, but also in processes and business remodeling. So business modeling and simulations are key for the finance organizations to see and anticipate what will that mean for the organization and how do we model that new business case. Balance of short and long-term priorities, and certainly an entrepreneurial business thinking, as you don't go that path if you are thinking quarter to quarter. You need also to have a long-term strategy where you are willing to embark on a journey towards e-commerce and willing to make investments now, which will pay off eventually later. And a lot of performance monitoring. Okay, I apologize if I had to run through a lot of topics here, but the goal is to set the stage now on e-commerce and to point a little bit the discussion towards the panel. And I will hand over to Katie to take some questions and then to move towards the panel discussion. Thanks again for your attention. It's a pleasure for me to be with you today.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate your presentation. And as I mentioned earlier, we will be sending out a PDF of his presentation. So if there were any numbers or any information you didn't get to take down, you can reference it at that point. I will go ahead and turn it over to Beth Weiss with Von Lehman. She will be moderating today's panel. Beth?
All right. Thank you, Katie. And thanks, Yannick. That was great. Great information. I think when you said no pain, no gain, our panelists can probably relate to that because I'm sure they've all gone through some pain to get where they are right now. So like Katie said, my name is Beth Weiss. I am a shareholder here at Von Lehman and Company, and I oversee our manufacturing and distribution group here. I am by no means an e-commerce expert, so I'm excited to hear from the panel today. We wanted to bring this event to you as we know all of you are facing these challenges right now. And as we've talked about already, you know, the pandemic has certainly accelerated that. So let's jump in. First, I want to give everyone on the panel an opportunity to introduce themselves and just tell us a little bit about who you are and your company, and then we'll jump into some questions. And as Katie said, if anyone on the call does have questions, feel free to chat those in and we will try our best to get to those. So Hina, I'll start with you. Do you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Hi, Beth. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And I'm Hina Rathore. I'm president and CEO of True Choice Pack. And at True Choice Pack, we are highly specialized in manufacturing, disposable and packaging products. We have several product lines called BioGreen Choice, which is 100% compostable and biodegradable products. Progress, which is the line of PPE products and other traditional, paper and plastics products. We also have several other lines that we are launching called EcoWay, which is 100% bamboo-based products, and TrueGuard, which is is in the space of filters. We also have the huge presence with the retailers. So we serve more than 3,000 stores in the United States. So and also serve 4 large e-commerce platforms. So that's the high-level introduction about ourselves.
Great, thank you, Hina. Randy, how about you?
Thanks, Beth. Good morning, everyone. My name is Randy Coleman. I'm the VP of Finance and Administration for Armor USA. We are a manufacturer of thermal transfer printing ribbons, which is basically an inked ribbon that is used to print variable information onto adhesive labels, flexible packaging. So think of things like product identification labels on pretty much anything you buy. Think of use, buy, and sell by dates on food packaging. And think of care instructions that are sewn into your clothing. Those tags on there can be printed with our ribbon. So an industrial use inked ribbon is pretty much what we do. The product line we'll be talking about today is we're introducing some new product lines, one of which is 3D printing filaments. So I'm not sure you can attend a Zoom presentation about any sort of manufacturing without talking about 3D printing, and that's taking off. You can 3D print anything, even houses, I hear now. So, so that's something that we are introducing and getting into the market with 3D printing filaments. And we'll talk a little bit about how e-commerce is making its way into our business from that side.
Okay, great. Thank you, Randy. All right, Michael, how about you?
Yes, so my name is Michael Fiorito. Good morning, everybody, I should say first. My name is Michael Fiorito. I'm the Global Business Development Director for Modula. We manufacture automated storage and retrieval systems for industry, warehousing, distribution, etc. We're located, headquartered in Italy with 2 major manufacturing facilities in the United States. And our focus is obviously on the growth of e-commerce, both in the B2B as well as B2C space, and basically helping people do more with less, especially in the age of COVID. And I guess we'll talk more about that as the questions come in.
Okay. All right. Thanks, everyone. All right. Well, like I said, please chat in any questions. We have some questions prepared, so we'll start with those. And really anyone on the panel, if you want to chime in on any of these, feel free. I'll kind of start with somebody, but we're obviously anxious to hear everybody's thoughts, so feel free to chime in. So Hina, I'm going to start with you. Just kind of basic questions starting out. What opportunities are you seeing in the e-commerce world for small businesses?
Yeah, Beth, e-commerce world, this is the topic today, and, it is growing, like anything. Online, sales, I think growth in e-commerce, is in now, is expected to be in $1.3 trillion. And it is reaching to now $4.5 trillion this year or by next year. So which is like a significant jump, and it is unstoppable growth. So this opens up a lot of, the new doors for small businesses and even mid-size or large businesses every day. When it comes to consumer, I think products, which we are a part, and a lot of products in consumer industry, this trend mean a lot. It is like we are going away from the traditional channels to sell our products, which are, going and presenting to large retailers and brokers, and they go a step ahead. The way we used to market, now that entire era is changing, and e-commerce is bringing a new actually dimension, for us to market the products. So it opens up the immediate opportunities for any small businesses. Today, you invent a product, and rather than, I think, waiting for others to give the opportunity, you are in front of your audience and consumer. And that's really a radical shift, that it is that you are not in a queue anymore. And which is, I think, opening up too many doors every day for new businesses to enter into the space and open up exponential growth for anyone.
Great. All right, Randy, I think that leads nicely into your space. So your Armor's new to this. So
yeah.
What motivated Armor to get into this, especially in selecting Amazon as your main platform at this point?
Yeah, so yeah, we're very new into this. I think we have 3 sales on Amazon at this point. So that's how new we are.
It's a start.
So it is. We'll say you have to start somewhere, right? So as I mentioned, our main business activity is in TTR and the thermal transfer ribbons, and for us, that's strictly a B2B type market for us. We sell to printer manufacturers, resellers, distributors, and we respect that sales channel. We do not go to the end user level for that product line. However, as we talk about implementing new products and developing new products like the 3D printing filaments, that channel is a little bit different. That market's a little bit different. There's a lot more consumers in that market. A lot of folks, believe it or not, consumers have 3D printers at their homes, and you can do a lot more with a 3D printer than you can with a thermal transfer printer. It's not very exciting to print on an adhesive label at home, but if you can make something that you can use, it's somewhat exciting. So the market for 3D printing filaments is different. It's a new product for us. The US is a new market for us to enter into with these products. And so we thought partnering with Amazon would probably be the quickest and most efficient way for us to enter the market, to get our products out there, and to really ramp up very quickly in terms of sales for these products. Our competitors are already out there. We know that. And so it was kind of a natural move for us to go that route. I think if we had a similar market like the TTR where it's strictly B2B, and I know we're talking a lot about e-commerce with B2B, and certainly that's available to us on the printing filament side. For us, it was a way to get out there and try to hit the market in mass and have the massive exposure at this point.
Great, thank you. All right, Michael, let's turn it over to you. Can you talk just a little bit about what you're seeing in the world of automation when it comes to e-commerce so companies can achieve their goals?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we've heard about some of the challenges that Randy just talked about with their business facing and what they were trying to accomplish. Some of the biggest things that we see is for using automation, there are a number of different ways to deploy automation. It's kind of a big word. So what we try and look at is what specifically is the goal for that particular business? Is it entering a new channel? Is it adapting to a new market? Is it adapting to what consumers expect? And I think we can all agree that whether it's B2B or B2C, people are expecting more information, more quickly having items delivered, having them configured. So it's really just speed and efficiency, are some of the things that people want to get out of it. That being said, if they're looking at increasing their overall revenue, if they're looking at increasing overall market share, speed it can be a good thing. So that's what I would say about it. And then it's in terms of adaptability. So especially in the age of COVID, adapting to what the workforce looks like on any given day because of some of the risks that are out there. Those are just some of the things that come up and why those companies want to adopt automation quickly and easily.
Yeah, great. That makes total sense. Yeah. Randy, let's flip it back to you. So I know that obviously you face some challenges with implementing this presence. And again, I think you're the perfect person to talk about that since you're new to all of this. So can you just kind of describe some of the challenges that you faced in implementing this new world for your armor?
Sure, this could also be an all-day webinar on the challenges in getting into e-commerce. So I think there's a few different ones that kind of highlight to me. One, learning how to work with Amazon, first of all. Obviously they're the 1,000-pound gorilla, and so you're somewhat stuck with working the way that they want you to, which is fine. It's understandable. We're owned by a French company, and so when we started this working with Amazon, we hired a consultant to help us, and they're French-based, which is fine. But learning how to work with Amazon in the U.S. is not the same as working with Amazon in Europe, let's say. And I'm thinking specifically about sales tax, for example. Sales tax in Europe is VAT. Sales tax in the U.S. is 11,000 different taxing districts. And so each state is almost like its own country in the U.S. when it comes from tax perspective. So trying to get some good information from the consultant in Europe about the tax complexities in the U.S. Gave us some challenges. There's very specific labeling requirements. So we're working with Amazon through the FBA model. So fulfillment by Amazon. So we are sending product on consignment to Amazon warehouses. They store it, they ship it on our behalf to the people that purchase it. And so as that product comes into Amazon, you can imagine how many products are coming into an Amazon warehouse on a minute by minute basis, right? So the labeling has to be very specific, so they know what the product is, who it belongs to, where it's going. And so they have very specific labeling requirements, which for us at this point is a manual process for us to label every box that's going to Amazon with the information they need. So we're still developing automated processes to print proper labels. Yes, we make a printing ribbon. We should be very good at that. But automating it on our side so that we can send the information to Amazon and make sure it's recorded properly there. And then the third piece with Amazon specifically is they control where the inventory is stored on the FBA model. So we prepare a shipment, say, hey, Amazon, this is going to be coming your way. And they say, okay, we want you to send this amount to this warehouse, this amount to this warehouse, and it could be any state in the country. And so that opens up a lot of tax nexus issues for us if suddenly we have inventory owned by us in a state where we don't already have a presence. So next point, tax compliance. I kind of already talked about that from a sales tax and income tax nexus perspective. Marketplace facilitator laws from a sales tax part make this a little bit easier for us. So a lot of states have specific laws in place to deal with selling on Amazon from a sales tax perspective. So that helps, but you need to learn about that. You need to know which states those are and which ones, more importantly, are not. And then finally, the third thing that's been a challenge for us is managing that growth and knowing how quickly that growth is going to come. As I said, the consultants will tell you your sales are going to boom. Day one, you're on Amazon, watch out, things are going to go through the roof. And so it's like, how quickly do you staff up? How quickly do you put resources in place to make sure that you're prepared for that without, let's say, spending money in areas where you don't need to too soon. So I hope that's going to be the biggest challenge for us. I hope that things, take off in a way that, yep, we have to try to manage that growth because that's a problem everybody would prefer to have. So.
I know that was very helpful. I think that, plays right back into what Yannick was talking about, that you got to have everybody at the company involved. That was finance related, that was HR related, that was supply chain management related. That was a whole team of people at Armor trying to make all this work, not one or two people.
Yeah, for us, it started with supply chain. That was kind of the most important piece to get right for us as far as getting product from our parent company in France here, the right products here, and then getting it organized, packed properly, and sent off to Amazon. So it really started with supply chain, and now it's rolling. Unfortunately, it's rolling down to finance, let's say.
All right, thank you. I think this is a great question. So I'm going to open this up to all three of our panelists. Hina, I'll start with you, and then Randy and Michael, if you want to jump in, that would be great. And Yannick touched on this a little bit, but obviously in this world of e-commerce, sales and marketing are changing and going to look totally different than what, many people have been used to. So Hina, why don't we start with you? What kind of changes do you see in the world of sales and marketing with this e-commerce boom?
Yes, Beth, that's an excellent question. So I think I little bit touched upon, just in my introduction that, that previously, once I think in consumer industries, like you are prepared with your products and you have a new product in the market to sell, you kind of go to brick and mortar stores, you are in front of retailers to present your products or the large distributors or brokers. And now those channels are not needed anymore. So I would say that it is not needed anymore. It means that there are so many other alternatives are available in the market, like e-commerce. So when you are in front of, I think, this new, way of doing business, which is e-commerce, then the whole way of, your way of doing advertising and marketing is completely changed. So when I talk about that, now in e-commerce, like in consumer industry, if you are selling products through Amazon, really there are so many new ways of marketing and advertising the product, which is, of course, Amazon has their own, advertising campaigns, which are PPC campaign. You do banner advertising and sponsor ads, things like that, which is one way to do the advertisement. But there are a lot of indirect ways to do advertisement, which creates brand awareness and consumer engagement for your products. So those things are social media. So Facebook, the Twitter, the Instagram, where you really promote your brand, create awareness, followers, and that drives your business on Amazon or Shopify. Now, Shopify can also be linked with, other, I think, this kind of a social media as well, and which directly, consumers buy products through that and brings volume to your products, basically. So these are new ways of doing, I think, advertising, and it is every day changing. What was yesterday, there is a new way of advertising and marketing today. So I was so amazed that, for instance, like a couple of weeks ago, somebody told me that you need to, I think, do advertising on TikTok, and that brings volume for your disposable products. And that I never thought of. But when I saw the numbers, they were so impressive that, how I think you can engage your consumers, through, I think, TikTok advertisement and presence. So these are really the new way of marketing the business. It is kind of overwhelming because there are so many everyday new ways, but extremely effective ways to create, I think, your brand and to promote to consumers.
Yeah, never thought you'd have to advertise on TikTok, huh?
Right. Yes.
Beth, I'm going to interrupt you real quick and give out our second CPE word. The second word is going to be innovation. As a reminder, you will need all three. So go ahead and take down the second word, which is innovation, and you'll complete that on the evaluation form we send out after the presentation. Back to you, Beth.
Thanks, Katie. All right, Michael, Randy, did either of you have anything to add on the sales and marketing side?
I would just jump in real quick. Two of the things that we've seen are on the sales side, since that's where I spend most of my time, is there's been a lot more cooperation between other types of technologies in the automation space. And so I'm seeing a lot more what you might call corporate agreements or cooperation partnerships, if you will, where somebody that offers a complementary type of automation to another. So we focus in storage, we focus in retrieval of goods. However, robotics is a huge part of automation. So we've been trying to, we've inked a couple of really high profile deals with some of the major robotics manufacturers, so that we now have the ability to work together, look for new opportunities, et cetera. So I think there's going to be more of that. The other, and that goes with co-marketing, where we do virtual trade shows together, or someday in-person trade shows together. And then on the marketing standpoint, Hina said it best. I mean, the social media is going to be more and more a big part of it. I think for a long time in the brick and mortar industrial warehousing space, it was sort of seen as we might use LinkedIn, everything else seems fine. But I think we've all, in the age of digital and being at home and quarantine and things like that, adopted more usage of social media. So I think that's going to be a bigger part of it. And then we've just increased the amount of presence that we have on digital marketing as a whole. And we're just trying to be a lot more strategic about it, using more case studies, videos of, video case studies of actual product in use, so that those end users that want to see our products in action in their type of world can really place themselves there, and then go out and start, using things like a chat bot to talk to us and figure out how they can configure something, or have somebody, come in and survey, those types of things.
Okay, great. Thanks, Michael. Randy, how about you? Anything on Armor side?
Just from a sales perspective, and I'll touch on some points of Yannick and what Michael said, in that, automation in some ways is driving sales for us. The market for our main product, the TTR, is a price declining market. We very rarely see price increases to our customers. And so we're constantly looking at ways to drive cost out of the production process. And so automation is a way to do that. So in a lot of ways, our automation of our production processes are driving sales, as opposed to sales driving production. So it is something that's really important to think about and consider when you're looking at increasing your sales and increasing your market share growth, is how can automation help you get there by driving cost out of the process. And so that's something really important for us.
All right, Michael, I'm going to kick it back to you. Can you tell us a little bit more about the automated storage and retrieval systems, and how that kind of fits into this new normal in the e-commerce world?
Yeah, absolutely. So if we think about the old way to store items, people think about shelving. They may think about maybe some cabinets where they put items. We manufacture, essentially think of a very large silo that's controlled by the ERP system that tells it, this is what we want. And we basically bring the goods to person effect into a facility. And the idea is that I can now take what could be a couple thousand square feet of storage, put it into a couple of 100 feet of storage at 30 feet in the air. And now I can bring whatever is requested at the time. So at the time it's requested to that particular picker. So that speeds up not only the picking process, but on the other side, we offer what we call put to light systems. So now you can create batches of orders. So one person, instead of picking one order at a time, hunting and pecking through a warehouse, can now be in front of an entire 5,000-6,000 SKUs of material that are either picked by piece, or they're picked by kit, or material ID number, or serialized, if you like. And then they can create batches of orders and now pick 8, 10, 12 orders at a time. So that's what goes back to the age of e-commerce. We need to be adaptable. We need to have high mix, low volumes of picks versus the old traditional, a case or a pallet of something gets on a truck and it goes to a brick and mortar distribution or customer site. So there's that dynamic nature that we offer, that more and more customers in more and more industries are asking for on a daily basis, so that they can pivot to what their customers are asking of them.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, it's all about as quick as you can do it and quick as you can get it out, the better, right?
Exactly. Absolutely.
Okay. I want to make sure I get to this question because this was submitted by one of the audience members. So I'll open this up to anyone on the panel if you want to chime in. So the question is, how are companies best allowing a customer to configure what they're ordering online? So again, kind of going back to Yannick's example of, it's all about this customer experience. They want to be able to go on and have this experience and be able to, know the price and check how many things you have in stock and things like that. So does anyone have any guidance on, how to best implement that and to best have that customer experience be, truly what the customer is looking for?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Hina, I'll go with you, and then Yannick, you can chime in.
Right. So I think what customer is looking for and how best prepared we are in e-commerce to sell that product, there are multiple factors go into it. Like, number one is that what your actual product is, does customer understand it and is looking for it? And there are so many ways. I mean, one way is an Amazon way, and Randy said, right, that, Amazon way is a very different way that, business owners learn every day new things. But that is like one huge aspect is about image optimization. It has the visual, the commerce experience, I would say. So that includes that, how you can best prepare your image and the various, I think, marketing material there that is really in the guidelines of, the Amazon stores or Shopify stores. And it can really, guide customers to exactly understand your product better. And it gives, and not only that, but it gives them the personalized shopping experience as well, that, just like not touching the product or seeing the product, they get the same experience. So also, adding a lot of different type of videos, which gives them the full story, not only about the product, but your brand, about your mission, that is also equally important. So these type of things that you can, implement as part of your, I think, presentation of the product on e-commerce websites and Amazon stores. So that is one aspect of it. And there are so many elements that, business owners can learn how to do optimize their listings on these various e-commerce platforms.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I would like to add, first of all, it's a great question. And I think what is really important when somebody starts an e-commerce journey is to check a little bit the status quo first, and just to look at SKU complexity and how much products do we have in our portfolio and what's the level of configuration we can offer. And probably a good start is to define a kind of pilot strategy to also choose a certain basket of products where you can test a little bit an environment and create a comfort zone where you can discover all the complexity related to that, and also make sure that the customer experience with that pilot portfolio will be successful. So product segmentation, market segmentation will help to approach an e-commerce strategy in a protected environment. don't go full steam, full risk with your entire portfolio. It will be overwhelming. It will overwhelm the entire organization.
Yeah, I think that's great advice.
Beth, we had an audience question come in.
Yeah,
I
go
know we're
ahead.
getting tight on time. What does the future of lean manufacturing look like with the boom of e-commerce in the industry? And that's for any of our panelists.
I'm happy to take that one as
Go
well.
ahead.
So, as you can imagine, as a consulting firm advising industrial manufacturers on their journey in competing globally, Industry 4.0, and that's why I started with that, is at the core of any discussion right now. Digitalization, whether it's in the sales and commercial strategy or in the manufacturing side and supply chain side of the business, is at the core. But one of the things we keep talking about with every manufacturer is don't go to Industry 4.0 if you don't master Industry 3.0 yet. And lean manufacturing is at the core of any manufacturing strategy. There are some basics and fundamentals we need to master before we go to the more advanced game. Yeah, so master the basic game before you go to the more advanced game. If not, you will create a lot of chaos and additional complexity without being very strong in some fundamentals. Yeah, so probably you need to have a good level of lean before you go to more advanced robotics, automation, process automation, automated warehousing, and so on.
Great advice.
I agree with that. I just want to just dovetail on that. And as somebody that provides that automation, one of the things that we always want to tell our customers is go slow now so you can go fast later. And that's where you want to pick that one area, the biggest pain point, or what the customer sees as the biggest opportunity. Start there. Make sure you have that dialed in, especially when you're talking about data as well as storage and retrieval or the manufacturing of items, and then go from there.
Yeah, and to bounce on what Michael just said, the word data is so critical in all the automation piece, whether it's with robotics, with CNC machines, with a CRM system, an ERP system. At the end of the day, a big data machine, a big data corporation works well if the quality of the data in the system is well. And this requires a lot of discipline of the organization. And again, back to the basics. In our basic environment of today, let's sure we have a good data system so that we can now upgrade and go to again what requires excellent data, so that the automation processing, the artificial intelligence processing the data, the ERPs, the CRMs, and all these data machines, they will do a good job if the data in the system is good. You know the famous, I will not say it now to stay politically correct here, but garbage in, garbage out. This is probably politically correct.
Great. Okay, thank you. Well, we are, getting close to the end here, so I want to make sure that I give Yannick plus all of our three panelists just a couple of minutes each to just, give your final thoughts. Any other trends you're seeing, any advice you can give to all of those on the call today. So, Randy, I'll start with you.
Okay, good. That way I won't steal anyone else's comments. So I think what we've been saying here recently is really important about having a good foundation before you take that leap. And Yannick, it's great to say don't start at 4.0, start at 3.0. And that's really important. The question about the configurations of products, if you don't have a good product database on the back end, then that's going to fail. If you try to put all your products online immediately, that's probably not going to be a good way to succeed. So having that foundation to get started, having a good solid foundation is really important. And whether that's in your manufacturing operations, your product database, or everything in between, that's really important before you get started.
Okay, great. Thank you, Randy. Michael, how about you? A couple of minutes of final thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that if we look at when looking at deploying any types of automation or whatever it is, just from a pivoting point to where a business is today to adapting and going to what it is that their customers are requiring, is rely on the experts. There's so much good information out there. Whether you bring somebody in virtually, whether you bring somebody in person, allow them the opportunity not to sell, but to learn about the business, to learn about what the business's goals are, and then align a solution that takes into account the right type of ERP or WMS or automation solution that's going to get that business to their goals. And then you tie that success, to the ROI.
Perfect. Ina, how about you?
Yeah, I think Randy and Michael said, but just to add that, while I think in e-commerce, our major focus remains on digital marketing and advertising the products and how we give personalized experience to the consumer. Supply chain should not be forgotten in that mix because that's a huge part of the success. And for consumer products, I think the inventory management, really drives the success. How in this world like of e-commerce, people return their products, how we receive that product back, the frequency of the orders, the small packages and optimization and cost associated around with that should not be forgotten. So while developing the products, even for e-commerce platforms, should hire the experts in that industry or employees who really understand the e-commerce supply chain very well, as much as they understand, the other channels, and then to adopt the best, I think, experts as well as the technology, that accounting methods, the inventory management systems, the ERPs that are best suited for e-commerce, I think, supply chain, and that's really crucial for success.
Thank you very much. All right, well, I would like to thank everybody on our panel. Great information. As Katie said earlier, we'll send out everybody's contact information in case you have follow-up questions for them. But I want to give Yannick a chance too, just final thoughts. Great presentation. I think the numbers really show where we're going. So anything you want to add to wrap things up, and then we'll kick it back to Katie?
Yeah, first of all, thanks again for having us. Great meeting today, great session, great topic. You can see I'm very passionate about all of that. And I think my final comments would be, there are good news and bad news. The bad news, it's a little bit complicated, but the good news is you're not the first one. Others have been there, done that before. So don't try to reinvent the wheel. Try to learn from what have best practice company done. How did they start small? How did they lay out a roadmap? And how do they take controlled risks and work with qualified advisors to support you down that path? It will cost you a little bit money, yes, but it will save you more money on the other side. Be assured of that. So also use the opportunity to see companies who have been that path and learn from their experience. And here as well, the right advisors would know who has been there and can connect you. So thanks again. Again, if you want to have access to the surveys I was talking about, don't hesitate to reach out. And yeah, thanks to the panelists for the great comments, and thanks to the audience for the questions, and thanks Katie and Beth for the wonderful organization.
Thank you. Okay, Katie, I'll kick it back to you.
Great. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to all of our partners on this event. We couldn't have done it without you. As we've mentioned a few times, we will be sending out the follow-up email with the link to the recording, as well as Yannick's presentation and contact information for all of our panelists, and the evaluation link for CPE. So that final word, that final code word that you'll need for CPE is trends, with an S, trends. So again, thank you for your time. We appreciate your attention, and have a great day.
Thanks, everybody.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.